You are listening to Fresh Bread, Dr. Harry Reeder's daily devotional from the Alliance of Confessing Evangelicals.
We now make our way to the 12th chapter of the Gospel of Luke, and we are now moving into close to this week of Passion. And here's what Jesus says in chapter 12 and verse 1. In the meantime, when so many thousands of people had gathered together that they were trampling on one another, he began to say to his disciples first, "Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Nothing is covered up that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. Therefore, whatever you have said in the dark shall be heard in the light, and what you have whispered in private rooms shall be proclaimed on the housetops." Well, what he's talking about is the fact that God is going to ultimately make all things public that you think are private. Well, I'm over here by myself. You're never by yourself. The presence of God is always there. And by the way, in this day and time with technology, you're probably being recorded or videotaped anyway. But the fact is that God is already recording and videotaping, and we're all going to give an account of what we said and did at the judgment seat. So that's what he's telling us. Be careful as to how you live. And he said, I want you to get rid of this. Get rid of the leaven of the Pharisees. What is the leaven of the Pharisees? Simply hypocrisy. It's the hypocrite. It means an actor. It means wearing a mask. Don't wear a mask that you're something when behind the mask you're not that. Don't do that. By the way, there was a big theater that was built in the childhood of Jesus at a place called Sepphoris, in which they would put on plays, and that's where Jesus, likely working with his daddy on that government project during that time, likely saw these actors. And he's the one that really uses this term hypocrite, and it means someone who plays a part. An actor. See, in those days, one actor would get up and he would just wear different masks as he became different people in the play. He's saying, don't wear a mask. Don't be something externally that you're not internally. Don't be something that is seen one way when in reality, behind the mask, you're something else. The leaven of the Pharisees, which is a show for others to see in the name of religion, but in reality, there is nothing but emptiness and sin and immorality that the external show is covering up. The external show is the mask of self-promotion and self-aggrandizement. But the reality is behind the mask is a life of the dominion of sin and the destruction of rebellion against God. So what we want to say is no to the hypocrite. And so he brings this section to a conclusion that started back in chapter 11 of the maledictions. It's interesting, his patience with those who were caught in their sins, but his malediction against those who ought to be bearing the message of liberation and emancipation from the guilt, shame, and power and practice of sin. He brings to them who, instead of doing their job of proclaiming the good news, are using biblical religion to promote themselves, not to promote the gospel of grace and the majesty of the God of all grace and glory. He reserves that malediction for them. It's one thing to be caught in sin. It's another thing to be caught in sin and intentionally obscure the way of salvation, not only from yourself, not only from your own family, but from those who listen to you, as they esteem you as a person of religion that ought to be helping them, when in reality you've turned biblical truth in the name of biblical religion into a man-made religion that is self-promoting of the religionist instead of proclaiming the majesty and glory of the God who came to seek and to save the lost and to give his life as a ransom for many. What a glorious message of the gospel. Will you go hear it preached this Lord's Day? And then join me back here on Monday for another slice of fresh bread.
As the United States celebrates her 250th birthday, our free gift offer to you is an insightful series entitled God's Providence and Our Country. To receive your copy, call 1-800-488-1888.